is the greatest moment in my life.
Hey, yo. How we doing?
Bonjour.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands, mate. Jazz hands. You're not going to believe this, mate. I've been doing speed checks all day and my internet has been fucking flying. And literally, as we start, the little symbol comes up in the corner to say, oh, you're losing signal.
Well, mine has been absolutely perfect all day, so I dare say we'll have lots of internet problems.
Fan-bloody-tastic. Magsy, you before we pressed the little red button and went live, you were telling me a little bit about your eggs and your chickens, weren't you? Some bloody great news.
Yeah.
Really, your happy little face beaming away.
It's weird. The wife keeps saying this, but she went, "You are so happy about these chickens."
I love it.
We've had them now, 4 weeks, and they started laying eggs literally a week ago, and they've laid 13 eggs between the 4 of them already, which is outstanding. And they're like little diddy chicken eggs, because obviously they're not full grown chickens yet, but yeah, and they're delicious. I'm tempted to eat one in front of them just so they know who's boss.
Don't be a bastard like that. You were telling me about a taste test you did.
We did. So me, Carlos, and Lorraine, and Carlos's missus did a blind taste test where we compared them and some store-bought eggs, and yeah, it's night and day. Absolutely night and day. You can so tell the difference. The color, the way the flavor lingers. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. My mum has chickens and we get eggs from her every now and again, and the difference is ridiculous.
I won't be sharing, man. Unless they start firing off like 10 eggs a day, I won't be sharing. Saying that though, chicken maths is a real thing. I contacted the place where we got them from just to tell him how they're going on. Left him a Google review and said, I might need some more chickens very, very soon.
See, I love the idea of chickens, but I hate the idea of getting up at 5 a.m. to that, mate.
You can get an automatic door.
Okay, all right.
For like about 50 quid.
Right.
You just screw it to your chicken coop and it's got a little light sensor, and then it raises when the sun comes up and goes down when the sun goes down. Yeah.
I'll have to have a conversation with Quizmaster Sharon in a bit, but I don't.
I can see Sharon's face, and she's like, "You can fuck right off."
On the note of Quizmaster Sharon, we have a very busy show today. Our poll ended 50-50.
Obviously, it did, because the CWF are assholes.
Well, a little bit of news on that, Magsy. And again, speaking of Quizmaster Sharon, she was the last person to vote. And it went 50-50 with her vote, and she screenshotted it, sent to me, and went, look at that. And then the time ran out.
Well, what I'm going to do on purpose is I'm going to put Married at First Sight on the second screen, watch it, and tell her what happens in it. Give her a running commentary.
Don't do that. She's doing us a favour. Yes, we have a 50-50 poll, so 2 matches to cover. We have Mags v Sai. We, of course, have our non-wrestling topic as well. A massive, massive bumper show of chain wrestling to close out your bank holiday weekend. So on that note, we best get on, Mags, hadn't we?
We best, sir.
Good morning, good evening. Fuck that up, didn't
I? Brilliant.
Only 119 shows.
This is not going to go well, folks.
Only 119 shows, and I fucked up my own intro. And the weird and stupid and sad thing is, I've even got it written out in front of me, and I still fucked it up. I'll try again. And I'll cut this out of the audio version so no one's any the wiser when they listen to the podcast. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you may be listening or watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Sai, an SJP World Media production. Episode 119, as I just said. I am Sai, and with me, as always, is the King of the Ring, to my lack of bling, because I'm poor. The Stone Cold Stunner, to my not getting dumber, because I'm very confident with Mags v Sai today. A podcaster who would obviously get the win if these tag partners ever faced off, because I'm more of a submissive and he's quite aggressive, and he's full of protein now for all these eggs. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. How are we doing, sir?
Getting my 5 a day in eggs. Yeah, I'm doing really well. You're confident about this week's Mags v Sai, because you told me not 5 minutes ago that you were struggling to come up with any questions.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I'm not confident in the slightest, but I had to make the intro rhyme, so I just blag it basically. Before we get into today's show, who's in the chat, Magsy? Who's joined us, and who is saying what?
Okay. So one of the perpetrators of our 50-50s, Mr. Griffin, says 50-50 polls make SAR suspicious, but chain wrestling is wrestlelicious. Wasn't wrestlelicious like a wrestling promotion at one time?
I think
it
know.
Was it? Anyway, we can't linger, so we'll move on. Connor says hello to the two most handsome blokes in Burnley and Gloucester.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Buttering us up, even though you totally just got the assignment wrong for the non-wrestling topic, but we'll get to that, Connor, later on. Sharon in the chat and also in the green room saying it's Monday night. You know what that means. Dan Griffin and King's Pig Banners saying hello to the rest of the CWF, and Dan is happy that you've got your voice back.
I'm still a bit coffee, but I also, it hasn't helped that I had a puff of my vape just then and it tasted a bit funny. And now I'm thinking about it, I might have accidentally put my hay fever eye drops in my vape rather than my vape because the bottles look really similar. So I'm thinking that's
I hope I've got fingers crossed that's happened because that would be hilarious. Dan says, am I making tiny omelets with the tiny eggs? Well, no, you use more eggs. Essentially, I mean that's how it works. They are really did. I'll if I remember, I'll post a picture up of how small they are compared to a standard egg. But they will get bigger. It's just because they're still young chickens. Scottish Danny in the chat. Hello, sir. How are you? And Charlie also in the chat. Sharon has put her foot down. Absolutely no chickens. Dan says you're welcome on the 50-50 poll. Dan, that's for you. That's yours. No monetization for us. And King's Prince Banner says, yes, Wrestlelicious and VJ Rich. So, yeah, I thought it was a wrestling promo. So that's the chat all caught up. Look at me, you're looking ripped like Batista.
You are proper buff, ain't you? Thank you again to King's Pigs Bladders for this background that we got sent. For some reason, Magsy, you have a mint arrow as a nipple.
As a tattoo. It looks like a Batista tattoo.
Ah, yes. And I've got, I think that's Batista, Goldberg, isn't it?
It's definitely Goldberg, right on the titty.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. So then, first segment this week, as is the way, fortnightly. I got some catching up to do because I'm falling behind in the early days of this competition. We have Mags v. Sai.
Mags. Soy. Mags. Soy.
Mags v. Sai.
It's funny. Hello, Quizmaster Sharon. First of all, thank you so much for joining us on Chain Wrestling Live once again, my love.
Hello.
Hello. I was telling Magsy I got told off as well because I came downstairs to talk to you and you had the questions up on your laptop that I didn't realise, and I was sent very sternly away from the back room where you were sat.
And I definitely did not send the questions late as well. That was something that definitely didn't happen.
No.
No, I totally forgot, and Sarah was like messaging me, come on, I want those questions.
And of course, the first time you get them really late, and Sharon's got to go through them, obviously, for people unaware how this works. Sharon has the questions, Mags and I don't know what's been sent and so on by each other. Sharon checks them beforehand to make sure that we both haven't got the same question, because obviously that would be bloody pointless. And for the first time since we started this, one of the questions was pretty much identical, wasn't it, Shah?
Yeah,
spot on identical.
It was indeed. Backlash 2005 was the subject. because it aired originally on this date, I think, Magsy.
On this day, May the 1st, 2005, yep. And it also has like a bit of a link to this week's episode because that was the rematch of one of the matches that we're going to cover later on.
It was indeed. It was indeed. So 5 questions each about Backlash 2005. I'm going to get freaking destroyed again. I can just see it coming.
You've lost by 1 point like every time.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Sharon, I will hand it over to you, my love.
Thank you. Mr. Mags,
Hello.
which band provided the official theme to Backlash 2005?
Oh. I was focusing on it as well because Jerry Lawler's the one who mentions the song, and it's gone. It's absolutely gone out of my head. I have no clue. It was a band that I'd never heard of. So yeah, I pass on this.
I'd never heard of them either.
Oh,
The answer
disappointed.
is Trust Company.
Yeah,
I've not heard of them before or since,
and it was a crap song as well.
they weren't great.
Yeah,
Yeah, they sucked.
oh.
Mr. Sai,
Yes.
what spot was in the first replay of Backlash 2005?
The first replay.
Mhm.
Yes. Not reply like Mags wrote, replay.
yeah, instant reply.
Okay, the first replay. So, Struth, what was the opener? I can't even remember what the opener was.
Did you watch the event this time?
Yes, I did. I watched it. Oh, the opener was Shelton Benjamin and Chris Jericho. So, oh my goodness, I'm not sure. I'm going to say Benjamin doing a springboard.
Is
No.
that your final answer?
That's my final answer because
You are incorrect. The
What a
answer
surprise.
is Shelton Benjamin jumping from the ring to the top rope, superplexing Jericho.
oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. That is quite
Great
spectacular. To
spot.
be fair.
It is a great spot.
What a question that was. Bloody hell.
Mr. Mags,
Hello.
in the last man standing match, Earl Hebner started a count 17 times. What number did he reach the most?
Oh, 8. He does it all the bloody time. He reaches 8 so many times. It's annoying. I think he reaches 9 maybe twice. But it's 8.
You are correct. He got to the count of 8 5 times.
He's an arsehole.
And like counted 2 about 4 times or something stupid like that as well.
Mr. Sai, how many wrestlers did the Bret Hart Sternum first corner spot?
How many what? How many wrestlers?
Did
the Bret Hart Sternum first corner spot?
Oh, what, over the course of the show?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I've got no idea. None of it stands out. So there's a chance it was 0. But I'm going to say 3. Yeah, 3. Go on. Final answer.
You are incorrect. It is 2. Chris
Oh.
Jericho and Chris Benoit.
And now what
Millions.
our same question was. It was my question number 2.
It was, yes.
Yeah, I would have got that one right.
I don't know. I still think you might have struggled.
I've lost my train of thought. Oh, Mr. Mags.
Hello.
The night after Backlash, a tournament began to decide Batista's next challenger. Which wrestler from the Backlash card won the tournament?
Oh,
God, that's a good question, that, isn't it?
I mean, the guy that comes to mind straight away would be Edge. Just because this was when he was really starting that big push. So yeah, I'm going to go with Edge. I think Edge.
And you are correct.
Get in a bit of breathing room now.
Oh, for God's sake! I got to get
Mr.
everything
Si.
right to win.
Yes,
Go on,
you do
sorry,
now.
yeah, go-
Mr. Si, how
Yeah.
many times did Edge tap out in the last man standing match versus Benoit?
Once in the sharpshooter. I'm going to assume once in the crossface. 2.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I'm going with 2. I can't think of any more unless there was an extra crossface spot in there or something. But I'm going to go with 2 because there was 1 in the sharpshooter and I remember 1 in the crossface. So
You are correct.
bloody hell!
Your size making a comeback.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know
I'm not happy about that.
Oh no, didn't want to do that.
Don't let Si do anything. That's where it goes wrong.
Yes.
Mr. Mags,
Hello.
who wrestled the only pre-show match that night?
Was it Val Venus and Tom Core? I think it was Val Venus and Tom Core.
Oh, fuck off, Max.
Is that
Was
your
it-
final answer, Max?
I think Sars just confirmed it's probably Val Venus versus Tom Core. Yes.
You are correct.
See, I
Oh,
like to think I
fuck
know.
off! Can you imagine going on the weakest link and one of your opponents? Oh, for fuck's sake!
Fuck off, Anne Robinson.
Mr. Si,
Yeah, sorry, coughing my guts up again. Sorry.
name all of the divas in the Divas Swimsuit magazine segment with Jerry Lawler.
Okay. Candice Michelle, Christy Hemme, Stacey Keebler. Oh, the ring announcer. What was her name? Lillian Garcia.
The Fink.
The Fink, yeah, the Fink in a swimsuit. And Maria Kanellis. Oh, there's one more, isn't there? Is there one more? Victoria. Have I missed one, or is that all of them?
Is that all of your answers?
Oh, come on! I'm not going to win anyway.
Oh, do you want me to give a tell away? Oh, fuck off!
I think that's all my answers.
You are correct on everyone.
Nailed it.
Well,
Well done.
hey! I watched that segment several times.
In slow motion.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Maria Kanellis, mind. Good looking lady.
I'm saying nothing. Mr. Max, Backlash 2005 was held at the Verizon Wireless Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire. Quite a small arena, so its capacity was extended to 14,000 for this sellout show.
Okay.
But what was it extended from?
Okay. Wow, that is very specific. I mean, it can't be extended too much. So if it only got up to 14,000, I'm assuming they mean with like ringside seats and things like that. I'm gonna say 10,500.
So close. The answer was 11,000.
No leeway. That's good of you this week.
Yeah, I should have given you some leeway, and I'd probably let you add like 500 either way. To be fair,
I know, but never
but
mind.
no,
So
because I got a chance to
you
put
could
in,
draw
put in
with
level
this.
now, so
You could draw with this one.
I need to get this. Come on.
Come on.
Okay, let's do it.
Mr.
Pressure's on.
Sai, what
Mhm.
was unique about the first time Muhammad Hassan and Shawn Michaels wrestled each other in their tag team match?
What was unique?
Mm-hmm.
Well, something that I know was unique was that Michaels and Hogan hadn't teamed together before, but I'm assuming that's not what you're looking for.
Is that your answer?
Um,
I mean, me
that's-
taking over the
oh.
Quizmaster job.
Oh dear me, because I don't know, because
There
What
is
was you-
something very specific about the first time that they faced each other in this match.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say too much because it will give it away.
The first time they faced each other in this match. Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely stumped. I'm intrigued to find out the answer. Go on, I got no clue.
The answer is neither of them were the legal men.
Oh wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so Devara was actually tagged in and then thrown out of the ring, and then there was a brawl, and then Hogan signaled for Shawn Michaels to be tagged in, but the tag never actually happened, and the ref just let it go.
Okay. Oh, very interesting. Did you also notice as well, scanning through the network, that the Muhammad Hassan and Davari names have been dropped again on this show? So it just says Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels in a tag match. So Muhammad Hassan, through no fault of his own, is being given the Benoit treatment.
Yeah, he's been whitewashed. Ridiculous.
Yeah, not good, not good. 3-2. Oh my goodness. I thought I was in for a shite this week.
But how good was that compared to last week where we got 1 out of 10 between us?
Well, the last 2 weeks we got 1 out of 20 in the last God knows how many weeks, haven't we? So
ridiculous.
There we go. There we go. Sharoon, thank you so much for helping us again with
amazing
the
as always.
Absolute shite show that was my performance on Mags v Sai. Magsy, what's that now? You're 4-1-1, is it now? 5-1-1, something like that?
I think 5. I think 5-1-1.
I'm gonna pull the nose out though. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna pick the topic next time.
By all means.
Yeah. Okay. And it'll be name Simon's favorite wrestling moves. And
what are the best matches of Barry Windham?
Yeah, Sharon, thank you so much for joining us and making that possible once again. I assume we will see you in the chat in a moment.
You will indeed.
Okay. Thank you, my love. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. That wasn't as painful as last time, but
you did really well.
It's still frustrating. I'm still frustrated.
You made improvements.
I did. I got 2 right, nearly 50%.
Dan Griffin in the chat. I need to play poker with Sar. He has a very
very subtle indeed. And Cameron has joined us as well. Hiya, Cam.
Hello,
how are
sir.
you?
How are you, Cam? Hey up, kid. Proper Yorkshire there. Dan said it. The unique thing, it was the first time Vince passed out from the blood rushing south. Well done on achieving a modicum of knowledge. Well done on being average.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was literally average. Between us, we got half the questions correct. So that you can't get more average than
that. For the chat, we'll test you guys. So saying I got a question very similar, so we'll ask it to you, see if you know.
My money is on Scottish Danny, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
If he's still here. Yeah.
So one of the teams in the tag team turmoil match was the Heartthrobs, but what were the wrestler names of both the guys in the Heartthrobs? So first to answer gets bragging rights.
There we go. And I don't mean like the pay-per-view on DVD or anything. We're not giving anything real away. Yeah, we just can't afford to do that. There we go then. Shall we say? Sharon says she knows the answer.
Well, she will. She got it sent to her not once but twice.
Exactly.
She got confirmation.
She did. I wouldn't have known if I hadn't Googled it either. To be fair, I would have had no idea. I don't remember those at all.
It's literally on the tarts. It says it on the back of the tarts.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did watch the match. I couldn't remember them whatsoever, these guys.
No. They have just been wiped out of all wrestling existence for me.
Yeah.
A perfect entry to the Hall of Fame for you next week, though.
There we go. That's me sorry. Who were the tag team that came down dressed in the 50s gear? Like they were in Greece.
Juice and Domino.
Yes, and they had the lass on. Was it on the roller skate?
She was called Cherry.
Yeah. So when it said Heartthrobs, for some reason I thought of them.
No, they were Juice and Domino. One of them was one Sim Snooker. One was a snooker as well, weren't it?
Yeah, I think so.
They were the douchebags who were meant to catch the Undertaker when he did the no rope plancher, and they totally missed him.
Right. Yeah. And he crashed and burned.
Yes, and nearly killed him.
We have a winner as well.
And
Mr.
it was
Griffin.
always going to be missed. If it
Yeah.
wasn't Scottish Dan, it was always going to be the other member of the Council of Dans, Mr. Griffin. Well done, sir. Well done.
There is a mid 2000s SmackDown only pay per view coming. No, there's not. There's not. Magsy, shall we get on then with our non wrestling topic this week?
We shall.
NWT time. Oh, no wrestling talk here. It's the non-wrestling topic.
Lovely.
Nice. Lovely. Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
Yes, indeed. There is our dancing cat. Look at that. Obviously, if you're listening on the podcast version, you cannot. And it's a shame because it's a cool gif. But there we go. Our non-wrestling topic this week was kind of a flip turn around of last week. This week, we are looking for... What was it, Maxie? Shit songs by great bands last week, wasn't it?
It was your idea. How do you
I know it was my idea, but I even had to rewrite the tweet because I put it the wrong way around again this week. But
this
no, we are
time,
looking...
It's good songs by terrible artists.
There we go. Good songs by terrible artists. So I suppose one hit wonders can sort of drop into that. If you have any suggestions as we are talking in the chat, chuck them in and let us know. And also, whilst you're in the chat there as well, feel free to share the link to the show on Twitter, Facebook, all your social medias, etc., etc. Spread the word about what we're doing here on a Monday night to try to give a little bit of entertainment. But yes, good songs by shit artists. And we had all sorts come in. There's quite a few that I know, Magsy, for a start.
And it started off a bit of a debate as well with one of the answers. So, yeah, I didn't realise it would touch so many raw nerves, but yeah.
There is also, you will be completely unsurprised to know, many that I have no fucking clue about.
Shock. Horror.
And as always, on the audio version, you'll probably hear some of these songs as we go across when it's released later in the week. I will run through them in the order they arrived into us, roughly, provided I have screenshotted them properly. First of all, we have Dan Griffin at 21 on Twitter. And he says, White Wedding and Rebel Yell by Billy Idol are bangers. Everything else I've heard by him is bollocks. I reckon that's a fair shout.
I can't say I've ever heard anything else from him.
Money Money was one of his. No.
I know White Wedding and Rebel Yell, but that is it. So yeah, I agree with that.
I saw Billy Idol live at a festival, and you're literally hanging around effectively to hear those songs, aren't you? Let's be honest.
So he's going to play them last.
Yeah, of course. And it was horrific weather. I had basically built myself some sort of homemade poncho out of gaffer tape and a couple of bin liners I found in my tent. The rain was, horizontal. It was awful weather, but I stuck it out because I've never seen Billy Idol before. I wanted to hear him play these songs.
And did
when he played Rebel Yell, fantastic. Can't fault that. Fucking White Wedding, he did acoustic, and I was fuming.
Excuse me, Mr. Idol. I am here pissing down now. You'll play it properly.
I was very, very cross. Dan Griffin also says The Final Countdown by Europe.
I don't know any other songs by Europe. I mean, that's more your genre, I suppose.
Yeah, Europe are a funny one because obviously The Final Countdown is huge and massive track. You hear it all the time. I've seen Europe live a couple of times. On one occasion, I'm 99% certain they opened and closed with The Final Countdown on one of the times I saw them, which is commitment to their biggest hit, isn't it? But I saw them in the mid to late 2000s, 07, 08, 09, that sort of time, maybe. And they played a track off what they said was their new album. And of course, everyone sort of goes, oh, for goodness sake, just play The Final Countdown, will you? And it was freaking fantastic.
I hate going to a concert and they play new stuff. Wankers.
But it was an absolute stormer, Magsy. It wasn't synth heavy hair metal. It was more sort of traditional rock. And the guy's got a fantastic voice. This I can't remember the name of the song, but it was a banger. So I went and bought the new album based off that. And that album from start to finish is fucking incredible.
So what you're saying is Dan's wrong?
Well, no, he's right to a degree because I then went out and bought other albums and they are all shite.
Oh, fair play. So they had one good album.
Yeah, many years after their sort of most popular time as well, I suppose. One I'm unfamiliar with, which I'm assuming I've heard, but by the way Dan explains it, Leave the Memories Alone by Fuel. Listen to that after it was on Ric Flair's WWE retirement video. Went to listen to the rest, and oh dear. So it was on his retirement video. I would have seen this.
Yeah,
or heard
I don't remember the song. I remember the video package. I mean, it's a brave thing to go and listen to the full album after that. But yeah, I mean, it just went the way of Ric Flair's retirement, I suppose. It was just
Leave the Memories Alone. It's quite an apt title for the song as well.
That almost suggests that WWE knew he wasn't going to hold to that retirement.
Well, the story is apparently, even though we had this fantastic story, he didn't want to retire, but they kind of made him.
I mean, WWE did that though. They did that to Macho Man, didn't they? He said he wasn't ready to retire, and they made him anyway.
Very true. Very true. Chris Bellis at Real Chris Bellis on Twitter. He says, What?
This one is the one that got Sparse.
Oh, right. Okay. He says, I've never liked Alien Ant Farm. A bunch of trust fund, no marks. The movies is an absolute banger, though.
I like the way we caught the beginning of that cough. But that's just sarcophagus got.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
The movies, I vaguely remember it. I think it was the one where they had like the 3D effect in the cinema for the video.
Yeah.
The only like standout song of theirs was the Michael Jackson cover, "Smooth Criminal."
Yeah, I think that's a good cover. I quite like that.
Yeah. But then
I can't say anything else.
Chris got some grief for this. He said, "You are so wrong with this. Their first two albums were great. SS Recognize, Sticks and Stones, Calico, Flesh and Bone, Summer, Wish, These Days, Never Meant, Rubber Mallet, Unreal Band. Their bassist was out of this world. They've got a real drive in their rhythm section." Chris replied, "No, I'm not." As in, no, he's not wrong, but opinion is subjective anyway. And then Dave says, "Oh man, I think they're bloody fantastic." And Chris says, "That's subjective too. Unless there's a magazine industry," this is such a burn. "Unless there's a magazine in shops called Alien Ant Farm or The Best Monthly, and our king makes it an arrestable offense to dislike them, then we can both be right." Chris, that was a brilliant comeback.
Hell.
Quality.
Our Photoshop wizard at Pig's Bladders on Twitter, the king himself, he says, "Mr. Big, To Be With You. Couldn't name one other song they've ever made, but that song was huge at the time."
I don't remember it. I don't. It can't be that huge.
There's a Mr. Big song that I do really like, but I don't know what it's called. I wonder if it's that one.
It could be. I don't recall any Mr. Big songs.
Okay. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, classic one-hit wonders, no other hits, not one, and that song still gets loads of airtime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't think of any other Dexy's Midnight Runners, so that's a good shout.
Yeah, that's going back a bit as well. I think that's like the year I was born that came out, wasn't it? 81, I think that came out, something like that.
I think he may have spelt Come On Eileen wrong, though.
Oh, that's a video version that you can get online. The soundtrack is slightly different, shall we say? Yes. Pig's Bladders continue. Oh God, for crying out loud! I don't want any images made with that in mind, please. We do not want to be tagged in that. Living Colour, Cult of Personality. CM Punk has a part to play in its continued popularity, but it's the only song of theirs I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
The other one, Anna. Yeah.
But it came huge. Also, obviously, CM Punk had a massive part to play. Pig's Bladders is 100% correct. But it also was a massive part of one of the Guitar Hero games.
Okay.
And all of those songs.
Cult of Personality was?
Yes, it was on Guitar Hero. Yes, I remember my lad playing it all the time. And he actually got a little crowd around him when we were on holiday once down in Porthcawl in the arcade, because he was hitting like 99% accuracy on all 5 buttons and just tearing it up. And he was just stood, but he was so concentrated on what he was doing, he was oblivious that this crowd was gathering all around him. So when he actually finished one of the songs, turned around, he was like, "Whoa!" Because there was just a gang of people there staring.
Brilliant.
But no, he did very, very well on that, yes. Wheatus, Pigs Badders continues. Teenage Dirtbag. 4 albums they've released. The first is okay. The rest is crap.
I don't think I've listened to a full Wheatus album. I know that one song. But yeah.
Got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby.
Oh, well. I'm sure you could shift them on getmein.com.
For goodness sake. We'll have no Iron Maiden slander here. Thank you very much. Graham, MGB Graham on Twitter. He says, I knew I loved St. Elmo's Fire, but that's a film, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that was the theme song to the film.
Okay, right. But I had to listen to some of these, and then he's included a link there that we'll retweet via our Chain Wrestling account, so you can check it out. Needed to listen to some of these, and it's the top 10 of this particular artist to confirm I didn't like any of his other work. Number 5s down to number 2 were awful, so this qualifies for sure.
So he got to 5 and 2 and 4. I'm not hitting 6 and 10 because they can't be any better.
No,
I didn't even know this song was by this bloke. Is it John Parr? Yeah.
I don't know, because what I've done is I've screenshotted this. So the screenshot says top 10 classic John P.A. Thank you.
But then if you look further down, it says there classic.
Top
10
it
John
does.
Parr
yeah,
songs.
right in front of me. Yes, top 10.
And then
John
our
Parr
top 10 John Parr songs there.
Yes, my amazing wife bringing me a cup of tea there to help soothe my bad throat, Magsy. Isn't she great?
She's a star.
She's a diamond. The Villain King at official AB_POS. We bloody love AB on this show and the Doctor Who pod. Big supporter of that show as well. Fantastic person. Absolutely brilliant. Huge valued member of the CWF. They say, standing outside a broken phone booth with money in my hand by Primitive Rock Gods. Easy. Name another Primitive Rock Gods song without searching. I rest my case.
I couldn't have named that one. I couldn't have named the one he named.
I've got no idea.
This topic has been a damp squib for us, really, because we don't know half of the songs on it.
Yes, indeed. I will go check that out though. If I value AB's opinion, and if
definitely will.
I will. I'm going to have to, because what's going to happen is we're talking about it for so long now. It's going to be one of the songs that I play underneath us as we're talking on the podcast version. So I'm going to have to hear it.
Apologies, that is true.
So yes, so I will definitely check that out. And AB, they are like I said, fantastic person. Millwall Chris at Millwall Chris 1. He gives us a bit of a list, Mags.
I haven't got Millwall Chris's, I don't think. Oh, I've got one. I've got one of his. Okay.
What one do you have? Lisa Loeb, Stay?
Lisa Loeb, yes.
Okay. That rings a bell, Lisa Loeb. But I don't.
Yeah, she was literally a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
But it's a good song. It's not amazing. But yeah.
Okay. We have. I've done this in the wrong order, so I apologise in advance to Millwall Chris. We'll come back to his shortly. Pigs Bladders again. He says here, Amoeba by Adolescents. I love this song. It's awesome. Made a special effort, re-listened to a lot of their other songs just to see if they qualify. And no, they don't at all. Really enjoyed it, but seeing as you made me check, I'm making you read it out.
See, the shoe is on the other foot today because he normally makes me read something long-winded and ridiculous out, but today you have to do it.
Adolescents, the name and the design, I suppose, on the screen that we have there, I'm getting punk band vibes. Wizard
It sounds a little bit like that. But when I hear adolescent in music terms, I always think of Fluorescent Adolescent by the Arctic Monkeys, which is a banger of a tune.
Oh, okay. Wizard Pigs Bladders in the chat. Let us know. Are they a punk band? What do they sound like? Let us know from there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Millwall Chris again. Maria McKay, Show Me Heaven. Oh, I know Show Me Heaven.
Yeah, is that from Top Gun? I think it's Top Gun.
Is it Top Gun?
I think so.
When the blonde lass and Tom Cruise are doing the no pants dance?
Is it not when she's riding bitch on the motorbike?
See, no, isn't it Berlin? The soft one on the Top Gun soundtrack. Take My Breath Away.
Oh, it could be that. I may be totally wrong then.
Yeah, Show Me Heaven is something different in it. Show Me Heaven, I imagine the big hair though. That sticks out to me. But yeah, Mariah McKee, Show Me Heaven. Okay. Fair enough. It's that time of the week again, Magsy. we go to our good buddy Steve-O at Total Steve-O on Twitter.
Just before you do,
Okay.
it was a Tom Cruise film.
Right.
It was actually for Days of Thunder.
Okay. Which is basically Top Gun with cars, isn't it?
Yeah, NASCAR gun.
Yeah, NASCAR gun. NASCAR gun. That sounds like a punk band. It was Cocktail as well. Was another film of his from the 80s, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I mean, I've got nothing to add to that. It just popped in my head. So
Mrs. Mags loves that film. Yeah, that's a great film.
Yes, there we go. Steve-O, he says, right, a more easier topic.
So when he put the rat and ... I can imagine Steve-O rubbing his hands together and going, "Here we go."
Yeah, it was like a Bond villain smile, like, right. No, Mags and Si, I expect you to die. A more easier topic, Steve-O says. I'll kick off with Mudvayne. Everyone seems to think they're amazing. They're not. Okay.
They are not amazing, and you were all idiots for thinking it.
Oh, there we go. However, they have some fantastic bangers. Happy and Dig are fantastic. I think, have I seen Mudvayne? They're one of those bands that I think I might have seen, but I'm not sure. A lot of my concert going years are quite hazy.
They may have been a support act to a good band.
Yeah, maybe. Or I'm getting confused with somebody else. I don't know. We'll probably find out they're all dead and I've not seen them and I'm getting confused with somebody else. American Head Charge, I know that name. Just So You Know, off their first album, probably only decent song on it. Okay. In fact, there are many of those new metal acts that came up between 99 and 2001 that had a hit, and that was it. Yeah, there was so, like, when Limp Bizkit made big, and then obviously Linkin Park followed, and, well, I say followed, Hybrid Theory and the big Limp Bizkit album came out on the same day, I think, or the same month anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then there was a couple of others, like Korn were kind of branded in with that as well.
Saliva.
Yeah, and yeah, you had the likes of Saliva and all these other bands sort of follow along. And I remember that, like, they'd have like a video on MTV played to death on like Kerrang TV or whatever, but then you'd never hear from them again.
Yeah, a lot of one-hit wonders in that whole new metal scene.
Yeah, and when I used to go to the place I told you about before, Magsy, Crackers in Gloucester, it was a little dingy nightclub underneath a car park. It was, the floor was sticky, it was gross, it was horrible, but it was the only place that played metal. It was the same playlist every Saturday night. And you guarantee all of these one-hit wonders from these new metal bands made up that playlist. That's all they would play, And here's one of them here.
Napster.
Yeah, exactly. Here's one of them here that Steve mentions. Drowning Pool springs to mind. The album Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Yep. One good song, Bodies. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, as I'm writing, I'm deliberately listening to it. Yes, it's bad.
You glutton for punishment.
Oh, he's martyring himself audio-wise for our benefit, Magsy. He's doing the research, so we don't have to. Or he's doing the research because he kind of knows that I probably won't bother. So Steve-O continues. Si mentioned Good Charlotte. Because of Spotify, I get to listen to a lot of albums I couldn't back from that era. And they had two good songs. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and The Anthem. The rest of that album is appalling. Okay.
I don't mind Girls and Boys. They had a song called Girls and Boys.
Girls like boys, girls like lots of money. Like that.
Yeah, that was
sort of.
But they're another band who were essentially 1/2 hit wonders.
One of those.
That kind of commercial punk kind of rock bollocks.
One of those is the video where is it Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, when the guy's got a girl with him. Well, I say girl, a mature lady, shall we say? She's
an old woman.
She must be like 96,
and he tongues her.
Mate, honestly, that used to make me retch.
Yeah,
I used to watch that video and probably just be like,
Yeah, it was grim. Yeah,
it was bad. It was bad. Steve-O says, POD, again, one good song off Satellite, Alive. The rest is garbage. Alive is a banger. That is such a good record.
No, I'm sure they did a song as well called Youth of the Nation. That was that
was right. I had an EP of theirs. I don't know if it was Satellite, because it wasn't a whole album. I had like 5 tracks.
And didn't they also do a Rey Mysterio theme as well?
Yeah, they did. That's shit though. That is shit. I hate Rey Mysterio's theme tune. I hate it. You should go back to the old WCW and that dun 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 dun, dun like that. You know, they stole off Dean Malenko, I think. But yeah, Alive is an absolute stormer of a record. That was used on a WWF promotion package as well. Was that a Shawn Michaels? Was that Elimination Chamber 2002 or maybe the SummerSlam 2002 match?
I think so. It was one of those bands that WWE kept going to. Saliva, is it the one that does Edge's song? They got quite a few.
Alter Bridge,
yeah, they love them. Limp Bizkit, obviously, big
Yeah.
fans of them. There was a time, I'm sure, that at one WrestleMania, the Thing announced Limp Bizkit as the WWE's favorite band, and then the very next WrestleMania, it was Saliva is the WWE's favorite band. I'm like, you two-faced arseholes.
You lying bastard, Fink. Go back to your swimsuit modeling, you shiny-headed fuck. Steve will continue. I love Howard Finkel, and he's sadly no longer with us, and I feel really bad that I said that now.
I watched him in something earlier on today. It was when Jeff Jarrett and X-Pac were having a hair versus hair match, and Jarrett and Southern Justice shaved Fink's hair, and I felt so horrible for him.
Yes, there we go. Steve-O then does a Magsy and cheats basically and says, I'll tell you some bands now that every song is a banger, which is not what we asked for, but let's go with it anyway. Bowling for Soup, Newfound Glory, awesome bands.
And I know Bowling for Soup, that's the one with the bassist who's quite husky and with a big bald head.
Yeah,
they're not too bad.
Yeah.
The girl or the bad guys one, is that one of their songs?
Yes, that's yeah.
That's
the last that was in that video. She was lovely.
I don't even remember the video, to be fair.
Check it out, man. She's a lovely lady. Well, I've never met her. I don't know. She may be.
She might be a rat twat.
Yeah. If anyone has met the girl from that video, please let us know if she is nice or not.
If you know the girl that all the bad guys want, let us know.
Cold Chamber, Marilyn Manson, both have some great songs. Keyword some, as majority of their stuff is garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I recently listened to Manson's acclaimed Antichrist Superstar. It's made out to be one of the greatest albums ever. Listen to it, you will struggle. I think Marilyn Manson is one of those acts that really came along at the right time for that act.
Mm-hmm.
It filled a void that wasn't there. Blew up, became huge.
Kind of like the disenfranchised youth.
Yes. Yes, exactly, Max.
You're right.
And they kind of just, never really made good music after their initial explosion, I don't think.
But they didn't need to, because they already had their hooks into the youth.
I've seen Marilyn Manson live on 3 separate occasions. Definitely 2, I think 3. And he was absolute shit every single time.
I think my issue with Marilyn Manson is that after they got big with like the Beautiful People and stuff like that.
Yes, SmackDown theme.
Yeah, the music was then took a back seat. It was all about the shock value then, because I think their follow-up album, I think it was it the Dope Show?
Yeah,
and he did the whole kind of like clothes shop dummy outfit, and you could tell it was more about the visual than the actual music. So yeah, kind of went up his own arse a little bit. Didn't
he end up being a wrong un as well?
I think he was accused,
right?
But I don't think he definitely did anything.
I think he was abusive or something like that, wasn't he? I'm not sure.
I've heard rumors, but then nothing is. I don't think he's ever been like charged with anything.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, let's move on quickly before Mr. Manson sues us. Steve-O says again, like I said, he made this out to be the greatest album ever. Listen to it, you will struggle. And Steve-O also says, Korn are another band who has some incredible songs, but my God, I cannot stand the albums. Yeah, Korn are funny.
They had one good song for me.
Okay, was that the one with the bullet in the video?
Yeah, Freak on a Leash.
Yes.
What a great video that is. That is outstanding, that video.
I'm
sure that was used on a WWE pay-per-view as well.
That's a future non-wrestling topic if we haven't done it already, isn't it? Great music videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Korn, again, as a band I've caught a couple of times at festivals, and they've always entertained me, but I wouldn't listen to them at home. But live, I think they've always been quite entertaining. So.
Yeah, a good live act.
Yeah. Cam at Cam Griff 92. Magsy, I'm so sorry. I'm about to cough my guts up again.
So Cam, he actually came in quite late with his, but it's a banging answer. Uncle Cracker, Follow Me. Now, if I remember rightly, Uncle Cracker was either one of the guitarists for Sawyer Brown, which was the backing band for Kid Rock.
Okay.
And that song, when it came out, was huge in Britain, absolutely huge. And it sounded nothing at all like Kid Rock. It was more kind of like a country anthem. Yeah, but I didn't even know he did any more songs until Scottish Danny, the wrestling encyclopedia, comes in and says, yes, outside of that and the X Factor theme, which really isn't his anyway. Now, I read that and I thought he meant like the Simon Cowell TV show X Factor theme. And I thought, is there even any words to that? How do you even know that's him? But he meant the X Factor, X Pac, Albert, and Just Incredible faction thing. Like, I got everything I ever wanted, and I'll never get that back. So he did that song. Yeah.
There we go. Apologies again, everyone, for my voice, my throat. I've had a bit of a cough and a sore throat for a while now. So over the weekend, I had to cancel 2 recordings because I was at one point I couldn't speak. I woke up one morning and I was literally like that.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah. I think I'm coming out the end of it now, but every now and again it'll creep up on me and I'll be like, oh God, that's back, sir. And finally on Twitter, unless there's any I have missed, we have Connor from Twitter as well, of course, but I've not.
He didn't play the rules properly, didn't Connor? He did not understand the assignment. So Connor's answer is a few punk albums that are near and dear to his heart. Never mind the bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. One of his favorite punk rock albums ever made. Solid track list from beginning to the end. The album that he first discovered the Pistols. That's great, but this is great songs by shit bands, Connor. So you've kind of not got the point for the question, but points for the effort. He says as well, give me Convince or Give Me Death. That is by the Dead Kennedys up till 2017 or 2018. He'd never heard of them until Trivium covered one of their songs called Kill the Poor. That's mean. That sounds like the Tories manifesto.
Do you think Trivium are Tories? Matt Heafy there, the American singer guitarist, a little blue rosette on his.
I don't think the band are Tories. I think just killing the poor is something the Tories would love to do.
I'd love it if somehow that would happen, and like the next Tory convention, they've accidentally booked Trivium to play live for them. That'd be so funny. Didn't
they once? I think it was Boris Johnson played D. Ream. Things Can Only Get Better, and the guy who was essentially the band sued Boris Johnson and said, I do not give you the permission to use my song. So they had to backtrack it.
But it was also used loads by Tony Blair. But I think he was allowed to use it a lot, wasn't he? So yeah. Connor also says, and lady, but I think he means last but not least, the album American Psycho by the Misfits, one of the greatest albums the Misfits ever produced. It's a banging album, and the title track is the icing on the cake. You know, Connor, knowing what Connor looks like, I would never have put him as a aficionado of punk. So he's got many strings to his bow as Connor. There you go.
Props for that, Connor. Props for that.
And finally on Twitter, we have one more from @PigsBladders. He says, Judas by Fozzy. Now, I personally think it's an okay song. And when I did listen to their back catalogue, it was no better. But there's a ton of AEW fans who will argue it's an anthem. And for an entrance theme, it's up there. And that elevates it from okay, or the rest are just shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I don't mind Judas, but I think he's right that it's not Fozzy's best track. They did a track very early in their repertoire called "To Kill a Stranger." I think this was when Jericho was still with the WWE.
Okay.
And it was on an album called Happenstance, because I remember him promoting the actual album on Raw, and that is a banger of a song, but it's been wiped essentially from Spotify. You can't even find that album on Spotify, so I have no idea why, but yeah, I remember that song very well. It's a cracking song.
When they first started as well, he played a character, didn't he?
Yeah, essentially it was a Ozzy Osbourne tribute band at first.
And he had a real silly name, like, I don't know, Clive Mongoose or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Mongoose. I don't know if it was Clive, but I think it was Mongoose.
Malcolm Mongoose or something. I don't know.
Probably.
I love that track by Fozzy. It's fantastic. But again, do I love it because when it came out, Jericho played it on his podcast, I reckon maybe twice a week, or and then obviously it's been big in AEW. Or do I like it because it's genuinely good? That's a tricky one, because I've listened back to other Fozzy albums and they're a bit up and down. You know, they're another band I've seen live, and again, they're pretty good live. Jericho was very entertaining, as you can imagine. But I mean, he came out at one point with the flashing jacket, the light up illuminous jacket, and they killed all the lights in this tiny little club we were in, and that came on, and he was just stood on stage in the jacket and sang a song. That was quite cool. But I mean, the lasting memory of seeing Fozzy live was not Fozzy; it was bumping into Blaze Bayley from Iron Maiden. So that probably says a lot about Fozzy live, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. I would only go to a Fozzy concert if they played "Break the Walls Down."
It's not their song, no.
I know, but half of the people's songs aren't their songs, the amount of covers. But surely that could be your kind of like encore song for Fozzy coming out to play "Break the Walls Down."
Or it could be the intro as they come on stage, maybe, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hardcore Superstar, band from Sweden, were the support act. That's who I went to go see when Fozzy were touring the UK, and they were fantastic. They blew Fozzy off stage. But that's a story for a different day. Mr. Mags, in the chat then, do we have any more to scan through before we sort of put forward any thoughts of our own?
So Dan says the Fozzy cover of SOS is
yes,
fantastic. Can't say I've heard of that one. Well, let me just scan back up. Where are we at? So Dan also says Wheatus did a good cover of A Little Respect. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was good. It was a cover. Certainly was a cover. King's Pigs Baddest says, confirming that these were punk bands. And he also says, just play it. And Sharon says, no, we will get hit with a copyright. And we've been copyrighted before because of SAR.
Because of Sharon is the conscience of the SJP World Media Network. She is the sensible one.
Cam says great shout with Fluorescent Adolescent. Yeah, Arctic Monkeys are a quality band. Connor says The River featuring M Shadows from Avenged Sevenfold is great. Good Charlotte song, very underrated.
I don't think I know that one.
The River, yeah, I can't say I've ever heard that. Dan says Alive is a great song, and Sharon says she loves Alter Bridge. Bowling for Soup did a song called 1985, which was released in 2004. And if they did the equivalent now, it would have to be called 2004. What great knowledge there from Dan. Dan says Follow Me should be Joe Gacy's entrance music. Yeah, because he's the whole kind of like cult leader character.
Okay.
Cam says it's absolute class, but genuinely the album is shit. Yep. And Connor says apologies for not understanding the assignment. The mum's the one that got me into punk, and I've loved ever since. No apologies necessary. It was sharing your wealth of punk knowledge. Yeah, it was.
There you go.
It added to the show. So yeah, no worries about that.
What about yourself, Magsy? Any that jump out in your mind?
Bop by Hanson.
Okay.
Banger of a song.
You've got their extensive back catalog, have you?
No, I can't say I've listened to many other songs of theirs, but that was a banger. Even if you kind of don't like it now, that at the time that was a massive banger, and I can't really remember anything else that they did. How about the New Radicals? I'm sure they only had one hit with "You Get What You Give," but that was a bop. Apparently, the guy from the New Radicals, he's a massive hit maker. He writes like big hits for other people, but they only ever had that one big hit for himself.
Okay.
Nickelback, it's got to be How You Remind Me, and everything else of theirs is quite wank.
See, I would put forward the Raw theme they did and Rockstar. Those are two decent tracks as well.
Then I would probably say the song "A Beautiful Lie" is all right by 30 Seconds
Why
to Mars.
do you do this? Why?
But the rest is absolute tosh, really, isn't it? It's commercial wannabe rock at its very worst.
Why'd you do this?
What? I don't know what you mean.
Just goading my wife.
Sharon in the chat says ass baby by Vanilla Ice. I'm sure more comments are furiously being typed in as we go. But one that probably stands out as a song that I don't know the lyrics. I don't understand the point of the song, but it's a bop of a song. Snow did a song called Informer, and he's he's this white reggae guy from, like, I'm sure he's from Canada. He looks like a specky Vanilla Ice. And the song is a bop. It's an absolute bop, but I've never heard anything else. And it's a bop just for the line where he talks about licking someone's bum down. But yeah, they're some of the good songs by terrible artists.
Yeah, fair enough.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Oh, for God's sake.
I mean, Up in the Air is not bad.
Okay, you've literally just Googled this whilst you're sat there, aren't you?
It's on that screen right there.
I'm surprised you didn't turn around and say something stupid like, wow, Ace of Spades, because the rest of it's crap and all that, just to try and wind me up.
That's just clutching at the low fruit. It's easy to do. Sharon's put, I'm going to start showing Sarah your questions. So then what I'll do is I'll send them to you when I know Sarah's on the screen.
Thing is, I could read your questions 10 minutes for the quiz. I would probably still get them wrong.
Yeah, that is true.
Sharon mentioned Alterbridge, and they are a hugely popular band, incredibly talented musicians. But barring, I think it's called Metalingus, the Edge one.
Yeah,
I've never got on with it, which is weird because they're the type of band that in my mind I would normally enjoy. They tick a lot of boxes, but I've never got on with the rest of their back catalogue. So.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going on Edge ones as well, I mean, Never Gonna Stop by Rob Zombie. I like that song. Can't stand any other Rob Zombie. Just not my bag.
Dragula? That's a good one.
Nah, it's not.
Okay.
He's bad at music and bad at directing horror films as well.
Yes, he is that indeed. Yes. I can't really think of any that's not already been shouted out, Maxie, to be fair.
Oh, well, so let's move on. Got a lot to cover.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. We have two wrestling matches to cover because the poll was a draw from you crazy bastards out there in the CWF. So, Magsy, shall we dive on into a little bit of wrestling talk?
A lot of wrestling talk. Here we go.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okay, as I mentioned, the poll was a draw. So we look at both options this week. So I don't know how this is going to work. We might be a little bit condensed down with what we're talking about. I'm not sure, but we're still just clocking in at just over an hour. So we got a bit of time, Max. Yeah, we got a bit of time.
We can give both these matches the analysis that they deserve.
Right. Okay. Where would you like to start?
Chronological order.
Okay. So what does that mean?
Time.
Right. Okay. So King of the Ring, 1997.
It is.
I like that. Chronological order. Okay. What does that mean? Time. Okay. King of the Ring, 1997 was my selection. And it was a match that I should have seen before. But I woke up one night and it was playing on my TV. And I was like, this isn't WrestleMania 14. What is this? And it's Shawn Michaels taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the... so it was only a few weeks reign of theirs, wasn't it? Where they were both tag team champions. They were.
Yeah, we mentioned it in an episode a few weeks ago about Shawn Michaels and not wanting to be fair in dropping titles, and this was one of the times he was a tag team champion with someone and didn't drop the titles fairly.
Well, it's Bret's fault.
It always is.
Yeah, the night after this, Bret Hart randomly and brutally attacked Shawn Michaels backstage, pulled hair out of his, completely unprovoked as well.
Shawn cannot was sat there work minding his own... in these unsafe conditions.
Shawn was sat there minding his own business, you know, probably doing his charity work and all that sort of stuff. No, Shawn was an absolute arsehole, wasn't he? Let's be honest. But yeah, the following night, before Raw went on air, Shawn and Bret got into that famous backstage fight. Shawn lost some handfuls of hair and he went home. So that kind of put pay to this odd couple tag team that was kind of brought together by both of them having a mutual enemy in the Hart Foundation.
Yes.
Which united them, even though they didn't really get along. And from what I remember of that period, Michaels had come back from an injury or losing his smile or having getting his nails done or whatever Shawn was up to at the time, and was in this tag team with Austin randomly one night on Raw, and they won the tag titles. Yeah. But there's still the rivalry there, which led to this match here between them. Now, I think this is a really, really well told story because I don't think you want either guy in your tag team champions when they face off against each other to come out looking much stronger than the other. You've also got Michaels, who was incredibly paranoid and manipulative about holding on to his spot at the top of the card. So he had Vince's ear, as everyone knows, and probably something else of Vince's, but we won't go into that right now. And we had Austin, who is on the rise, and the commentary team talk about this on this event here, saying we don't understand why he's so popular. We don't understand why he's getting cheered, but he is. So it almost feels like they kind of booked themselves into a bit of a corner here. It's a struggle to make sure they both come out of this looking well, but looking good, looking strong. But I think they do quite a good job, Magsy.
Yeah, and I suppose you've got to take into account that Austin won the King of the Ring the previous year because of the actions of Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and the whole Curtain Call incident. So I think they knew who they were going to go for as the winner. I have a feeling that perhaps Austin was meant to win this King of the Ring, and that Triple H was meant to win last year's King of the Ring, because we've spoke about how Austin 316 is made out to be this. He said the whole promo, and then all of a sudden he was a massive star. And we know that that's just not the case. It's 18 months before he wins that title. Now, him winning the 97 King of the Ring, then going on to WrestleMania 14 the next year and being champion, that makes a lot more sense. So I think it was a case of roles reversed, but you still want to keep Austin hot. He is slowly coming to the boil, becoming one of the bigger stars. And then, like you said, Shawn Michaels did. He was paranoid about his spot. So you have to keep him strong. And what's the best way to do that? Dusty finish. Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, with regards to Michaels being paranoid about his spot and so on, obviously you read his book and you hear interviews with him and other people talking about that time as well. He was the number one babyface on top of the card throughout '96 and was the world champion and so on. And ratings were in the toilet. You know, rates were in the toilet and so on. But I mean, it was across the board. Wrestling from the mid '90s, it was on a downward slope. So you can understand why that might play on his mind. You also take into consideration, the guy was pilled off his tits 99% of the time, incredibly paranoid and so on. And then they had this backstage thing going with Bret as well and all that. But to me, it's a real shame because all that stuff was going on in Shawn's mind. A great deal of it his own making and his own fault with his own behavior. But in ring, as a performer, I think through probably 96 into the first half of 97, I think Shawn was the best performer in the world.
Yeah.
Or at least
absolutely.
That's what to be made.
Imagine what he would have been like if he wasn't inside his own head and he wasn't this paranoid. He was already I mean, aside from Bret Hart, who you could probably say was keeping up with him in terms of technical ring skill, Shawn Michaels was head and shoulders one of the best performers in the world. Yeah, it's mind blowing what he could have achieved had he not been his own worst enemy at times.
Yeah, and I think the key there is when you rightfully say, Maxie, performer, because in '96 going into '97, you did have fantastic wrestlers, of course. I mean, Rey Mysterio on the other channel for Nitro was, in my opinion, people need to go back and look at Rey Mysterio in '96 wrestling on Nitro and so on. The guy was groundbreaking. He was insanely good. Argument for him to be up there as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Dean Malenko was superb in WCW at this time, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Bret, of course, we all know how good Bret Hart is. We haven't got to sing that guy's praises anymore because he is so good. One of the best wrestlers in the world. As a performer, though, I mean, Shawn was working singles. Shawn was working tags. Shawn spent time as a heel, as a babyface, on the microphone, and all this sort of stuff. I think as an all-round performer, he was top dog to me.
Yeah. There's very few wrestlers who can have a 5-star level match with absolutely anyone.
Yes.
And Shawn Michaels is on that list.
Yeah, exactly. I like the beginning of this because we see Austin walking backstage, going through gorilla position, through the curtain, and you see a few people dotted around, like Pat Patterson's there and so on. And he's carrying the tag title belt as well, which I know he's had tag title runs with here and obviously Triple H and so on. But I don't picture Austin with that belt. So that was quite a nice look as well.
Yeah.
But there's commotion and chaos backstage as he's making his way to the ring for his match, Maxie, isn't there?
Yeah, because we and this I thought was really well done in terms of production. We know WWE now as kind of, in terms of production, as being incredibly polished, but this kind of gritty peek behind the curtain era, I thought was really, really well done, because you've got where the Hart Foundation have just finished doing a promo, kind of setting up for the Canadian Stampede pay-per-view, and then you've got Austin walking to the ring, and that promo it's just wrapping up, and you see the kind of the animosity between the Hart Foundation and Austin just didn't give a shit. There were 5 blokes there, and if it wasn't for the referees, they would have absolutely dogpiled him and beat the living piss out of him. But he just flashes the finger, winds him up, and carries on to the ring. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I really thought it was really well done. Really good, great production.
It's a sense of realism for me. You say about the production levels of WWE and how, well, even to this day, how smooth and polished everything can be. But this did feel gritty and real. And I think that's what sets it aside. I think it was really, really well done.
Yeah. And then I think it kind of gets ruined a little bit, because you have Austin going to the ring. And then Shawn Michaels does a backstage interview before he comes out, which, it kind of, for me, that it just kind of took the edge of the match away from me, or at least the start of the match, because you've got Austin essentially stood there twiddling his thumbs while Shawn Michaels has an interview, which it takes away that kind of excitement a little bit for, this is happening. This is a match that's going to be kicking off, and then you've got to wait for Shawn Michaels to finish his promo.
And that interview as well was a real weird one for me. Because he's asked about the match, and is he concerned about the future of his tag team and the tag team titles, and he's asked a few different questions, and he basically just kind of goes, I don't know. Are we gonna have a good match? I don't know. What's gonna happen? I don't know. I gotta go now. Bye-bye. It was really, really weird. It wasn't Shawn. I mean, sometimes Shawn's a dick in interviews, but he has that Shawn Michaels swagger, that kind of brash, over the top daftness to him. There was none of that either for me. It was just, it was almost like he wasn't there mentally.
Yeah. Phoning it in.
Yeah, there we go. His entrance as well was a bit similar to this. We didn't get the normal sort of boisterous, energetic Shawn Michaels entrance. He spends a lot more time strolling to the ring rather than, dancing and so on. But he does take the time to sort of high five a lot of the fans and whatever, go on his way down to the ring, and gets pulled into the crowd at one moment fans grabbing hold of him, not letting him go. And you can see the smile on his face. He loved that. He's thinking, yeah, I am over. That was a big ego boost.
They love me. These are my people.
Yeah,
Austin.
exactly. Lots of little kids dressed up as him as well, which on one hand I think is lovely as a fan. On the other side of the coin, Shawn Michaels used to dress with dangly earrings and a chainmail top and arseless chaps. Dressing your kid up like that is a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. There's on some of the very early Raws, there's an advert for the WWF The Music album, and it's got loads of little kids dressing up as their favorite stars. And there's a Shawn Michaels one, and then there's a Goldust one. Which,
Dear.
Yeah, it's on the nose.
Yeah, not good luck. Very early on, we see a young lad in the corner, and this, the way this is done and filmed and so on, they semi ignore it. They catch bits on the camera, but they don't. It's also that if this was a plant or anything like that, they would be focusing on this a lot more, I feel. But this young lad who I think he's got Down syndrome, I believe. They say he's from the Special Olympics, I think, something like that. JR says he thinks that the young lad fell over the barrier.
Yeah.
So he got into sort of ringside area, so to speak.
He fell over the barrier, but he did also try and get in the ring.
Yes, he was.
You see him try and slide into the ring, and then the security pull him away. And we're calling Shawn Michaels for his attitude, but props to Michaels. He goes over and attempts to calm the lad down, because it's obviously very overwhelming. Like you said, he's got Down syndrome, being kind of almost manhandled by these.
I think he was roughed up. I think the security guard seemed quite heavy-handed.
Austin kind of signals to Shawn Michaels to go and help, and Michaels duly obliges, and they walk him down the aisle. And I assume when they got backstage, someone like Vader beat the living piss out of him, because that's what WWF did in those days. But no, I hope they train really well, and props to Michaels for that. Absolutely,
that was nice to see. That was nice to see. We begin with a lot of actual wrestling, which I quite liked. We have a lot of headlock takeovers, and Austin trying to counter them by getting Michaels up on the corner, but Michaels would run the ropes and go back into the headlock, and so on. There's a stiff elbow by Austin here that sends Michaels flying, and then Austin does the bicep pose. That I loved. That was so good.
For me, felt like a little callback to Stunning Steve Austin, the technical wrestler from AWA and WCW, and then kind of like a little bit into the ringmaster. Obviously, Austin with his injuries had to become more of a brawler, but he could still keep pace with someone as technically skilled as Shawn Michaels, and he definitely has wrestling chops. Yeah, it was there was some really good sections of rope running, some good sections of chain wrestling. Yeah, this was a good start to this match.
Yeah, you mentioned there about keeping pace. That is something that I think runs throughout the whole match. Obviously, there are moments where we apply rest holds. There's a lengthy chin lock spot from Austin and so on. But when they kick up that extra gear, I suppose they'll step up a little bit further.
Yeah,
the pace these two show with the running of the ropes, their drop downs, their leapfrogs, and so on. It was very, very quick, wasn't it, Magsy?
Yeah, there's one spot where they essentially running the ropes and doing all the things you said, leapfrogs and stuff like that, and then they switch directions, and Austin's timing to hit a Luthez press, it was so crisp, really, really well done. Some great chain wrestling. I really like wrestling like that, where it's almost going for one-upsmanship, like, oh, I'm better than you, kind of like getting into each other's head. And it was just really entertaining to watch. Knowing what Austin's style would end up being, it was good to see him be technical.
Yes, definitely. Both are sent outside by their opponents in turn. That seems to be a theme that runs throughout the match quite a bit, to be fair, with the bumps kind of escalate as well. They get more dramatic, higher and further as they're sent to the outside. Before Austin effectively challenges Michaels to a test of strength. And as soon as he's got them tied up, he kicks him in the gut. Because, why not?
Classic heel wrestling.
But he gets a big cheer for it as well. This is the thing. You can really see the crowd. The crowd love Michaels. The crowd he is hugely popular here. So Austin naturally gets some boos for certain things he does. But then there's another section of the crowd that are really popping positively for Austin as well. I thought it was a really interesting dynamic with the audience here.
Yeah, and I suppose the two are in a weird spot in terms of heel and face dynamic, because Austin is obviously going up against the Hart Foundation, who are healing it up to the hills, but Austin is also this anti-hero, flashing the flipping the bird to everyone, but yet getting massive babyface cheers. And then you've got Shawn Michaels, the white meat babyface. So yeah, it's a weird position for him to be in, where Austin should be drawing boos, but also should be drawing cheers. So yeah, I understand what you mean, that there's kind of like a little section of the crowd that want to boo Austin, but a lot of them absolutely love him, and he's getting a lot of cheers.
And the fact that, again, like I said earlier on, that's acknowledged by McMahon on commentary, saying we don't know why they're cheering him, but he seems to be gaining popularity. What I thought was really interesting, hearing Vince himself say that on air as well, acknowledging what the crowd were doing, was quite interesting, because quite often he will ignore what the crowd want and say, "No, you're having what I want to give you." So that was intriguing. Both guys miss elbow drops in quick succession, and then a cameraman takes a bit of a tumble when Austin runs the ropes.
I don't think that was planned, because that cameraman fell in slow motion, and you can guarantee Vince was livid. If Vince was at Gorilla, he would have been going livid. Switch camera now, you jackass.
Because we just shot of us lights as this guy goes flying. Brilliant stuff. Shawn is sent over the top again onto the outside, and that's where we kind of get Austin taking more control for a lengthier period, I think. And we see lots of punches, kicks, clotheslines, elbow drops, the chin lock spots come into it as well, before Austin starts removing the mats on the outside to reveal the concrete floor. And
he's going through a little phase where he's kind of working Shawn Michaels' neck. There's points where he's got him strung over the top rope. He throws Michaels' neck first into the railing. So Austin's really kind of looking to injure Shawn Michaels in this part.
Yes. He ends up sending Shawn Michaels into the steps. That looked quite a nasty bump, because the crash mat was kind of up against it, so Michaels didn't get a clear run for that spot and kind of just went wallop into it and splatted, I suppose. Before he's kind of press slammed, I guess, overhead press slammed Michaels by Austin onto the concrete floor.
Yeah, that kind of looked a little bit janky. Almost dropped him.
Yeah,
basically onto the concrete. Yeah.
They get back into the ring, and Michaels gets a near fall with a small package out of nowhere, before Austin gets a near fall with a second rope elbow drop as well. And even though I know how this match ended up, both of those near falls, both of those close finishes got me. I was a bit like, oh, okay.
There's one in between them as well, where Shawn Michaels is hit with a heavy clothesline that Austin nearly takes his head off with it, and that gets so there's quite a few like near falls in this little section. But this is where I don't want to say the pace picked up, because they did have quite a fast pace at the beginning, but the intensity started ramping up.
Yeah, and what I noticed as well, obviously injuries would take its toll on Steve Austin, but here, pre most injuries, he bumps like a wild man, doesn't he? And that was something he was notorious for in WCW as well. He would work very hard to make his opponent, and that's what Shawn's whole career is basically built upon, how he would bump and make people look good. So when you've got two guys doing this, when you mentioned the clothesline that he takes Michael's head off, the bump that he takes from that, and it just, each move seems to get more and more intense. I think it's really good to watch.
It is.
Shawn then kind of goes through a few of the hits. We have the flying forearm, the nip up, the atomic drop, and so on. But he then runs into the corner with a shoulder block. Austin moves and he hits the post. That gets a 2 count as well. And we get there's near falls galore at this point, and I really like this. Whenever we talk about wrestling, I say this is something that I enjoy. When you see both guys going for pinfall after pinfall after pinfall, getting those because they're trying to win. Exactly. It's so simple, but it makes sense. And then we start coming to the schmozzy finish at the end with I think we have I think I counted 87 ref bumps, Max, at the end there.
I think 87 may be a stretch, but I do get your point. It got silly, let's just say.
It did. We have a ref bump, and Shawn Michaels then, with the ref in the corner, goes for Sweet Chin Music, which is countered into the Stunner, which was almost like a slow motion version of the finish they used at WrestleMania 14.
I think at this time Austin hasn't quite got the transition of the Stunner down pat, because he does kind of fumble getting the opponent's head into place and then dropping. Later on in his career, be able to hit it instantly straight away, the kick and the drop pretty seamlessly. But here he does fumble about a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit. There's no referee though, as we mentioned. Austin's got the match won, but there's no ref, so he goes to get the ref, and I'm assuming pick him up, dust him down, make sure he's okay, so he can count the pinfall. But no, Austin just stuns that fucker too. Why the hell not?
I mean, I didn't get the point in that. I mean, yeah, he could be pissed off that he's missed his chance at getting the pin, but usually, like you said, they pick up the ref, dust him off, go for another pin, and we get a 2 count, and the match carries on. I mean, we know now why Austin had to hit the referee for the eventual finish. But yeah, it just at the time makes no sense. Why would he stun the referee?
Yeah. Michaels hits Sweet Chin Music at this point and has the match won on his side. Another referee comes down, but rather than count the pinfall attempt, checks on the first referee. So Shawn Michaels gets up. I would assume to turn around and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Referee, WWE,
No.
I'm attempting a pinfall over here. Could you please come and count to 3 for me?" But no, Shawn just kicks the guy in the face. So that makes 0 sense as well.
That's it. 2 ref bumps, 0 sense made. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. A third referee comes down.
And it's the douchebag referee himself, Earl Hebner.
Yeah, and he basically throws the match out at this point. But I thought rather comically, he tries to explain to both guys in turn why he's throwing them out.
Why he done it.
So he's saying to Austin, you grabbed him and gave him a stunner, but he's mimicking the stunner. And then he turns to Michaels and says, you kicked him in the face, and does potentially the worst effort at a super kick I've ever seen anyone do.
It does a Mick Foley style Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah, exactly.
but what baffled me was, why did Earl Hebner not get beat up? Because Tim White was in a ref bump. He got squashed in the corner by Austin, and then Austin stunned him for his troubles. Mark Yoda came out to check on one of his work colleagues, got super kicked for his troubles. Earl Hebner tells both of them, you guys are not going to win this year's King of the Ring. I'm disqualifying you both. Walks away absolutely scot-free. No, why did they not beat the living piss out of Earl Hebner?
Yeah, they could have done loads of like double team moves. They could have given him like a doomsday device or anything like that, couldn't they?
And then we get to the end. There's still a bit of brawling and things like that. And then when they're walking down the ring, there's almost an air of mutual respect.
Oh, I love this though.
Like these two the match had made them change their opinion of each other. There was still a little bit of weariness, like Austin didn't want to take his eyes off Shawn Michaels in case Shawn Michaels tried to attack him, but they seem to be a little bit more, when you're down in the weeds, you can fight. So, I did enjoy that bit.
The way they walked out though, and Austin starts to walk, and he's a yard or two ahead of Michaels, and then suddenly stops, turns back around, and goes, "No, you go first."
Yeah.
And then Michaels is like, no, you go first. So they kind of walk, not quite side by side. Michaels is like half a step behind. And Austin
is walking like this.
Yeah, that was so well done. I thought that was really good. Okay, so there we go. Out of 10, Magsy, what are you thinking?
Oh, I thought this was a great match. Really enjoyable. The finish lets it down, but I understand the point of the finish. It was to get both people out of the tournament and still look strong as they were both champions. So an easy 8 for me.
Yeah, okay. I got 8 as well. Absolutely same. Yeah. Again, the match itself has got the potential to be a 9 or even higher. It's that good. And
It's the finish.
Yeah, they go best part of half an hour as well. They tell a fantastic story, and the story carries on with the way they leave the ring as well, which I suppose you wouldn't get if the finish wasn't what it was. But and I don't like marking matches down because of the finish when it's part of a longer term storyline, because it's a stepping stone for something in the future. But I can't give a match that ends on a DQ a 9 or a 9.5. I can't do that. So yeah,
I mean, in retrospect, I can and I understand why that DQ was there. It was Triple H's year. He was winning King Ring. These two were the tag team champions. There was the underlying story with the Hart Foundation, and both guys were kind of still in the mix with that. And then you've got the potential of these two headlining a big event in the near future. So you don't want one of them having more buzz or more momentum than the other. So yeah, it does make sense. But at the time, watching it, you think, yeah, this is a smosh finish. And yeah.
But the fact that we both still scored it so highly, despite the fact we literally just sat and criticised the silly amount of ref bumps and it makes no sense, I think it shows how good the previous 28 minutes or ish actually are.
Absolutely. The in-ring work was really, really well done. Really well done. We got flashes of classic Austin. We got flashes of the newer Austin. And Shawn Michaels is Shawn Michaels. He's going to put on a great match regardless. So yeah, I mean, you can't score this up. You can't say this is a poor match. It's just a poor finish.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, then. Also, the other end of the poll, which finished 50-50, WrestleMania 21, and I suppose the conclusion of our
trip down memory lane.
Dominated chain wrestling, considering the sort of the ethos of the show is to be quite random and jump around all over the place, and you can make these links to wherever you want to go. 2005 WWE has kind of dominated this best part of a month.
Wait till I put forward Backlash 2005 Batista versus Triple H 2.
Oh, you can get fucked. Main event of WrestleMania 21. We have Batista having just left Evolution, which we covered on the show previously, going up against the big nasty heel champion Triple H. Magsy, when was the last time you saw this? Has it been recently?
Today.
Not today. Fuck me, every fucking week. Before watching it back for the show,
I think it's been a couple of years ago. It's not one on like really regular rotation, but I like the intros of this match for two different reasons. So I've watched it quite a few times over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intros to this match with regards to what the crowd, the entrances.
Yeah, the ring entrances. So you've got Triple H coming from underneath the ring whilst Motorhead and Lemmy essentially make up new lyrics for his theme song. But that is the epitome of what a live rendition of a theme tune should be. I mean, we've had some awful ones, but this was quality. As someone who's not even that much of a Motorhead fan, this was quality. And then you get Batista's, which, first of all, I don't like champions coming out first, but I get the point. You've got the whole big Motorhead thing. But Batista's is memorable for a totally different reason. It's the fact he does the machine gun like lean down, but he doesn't get any pyro, and he just looks like a proper pillock doing it. Now
he looks like a kid in the playground playing with the fake guns, like pow 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 pow. You know.
So Triple H gets this badass entrance with the band singing his song loud, and Batista essentially is doing what Xavier Woods did backstage when Batista was coming out in a future match. He had to cosplay as Batista.
The Motorhead thing for me, I forgot it happened at this WrestleMania because my mind always goes to WrestleMania 17 when it happened there. So I forgot it happened here. So when I clicked on the WWE Network and Motorhead were there, I was like, oh, fantastic. And the way that he comes up between Lemmy and Phil Campbell on guitar. And he's got that big gold belt and the lights are shining.
I bet you had a fucking stiffer. That was all you love about wrestling and music, isn't it? You've got Motorhead, you've got hard rock music, and then you've got that big gold belt.
Oh,
Jesus
tick
Christ.
so many boxes. The only way it could have been any better is if it was Barry Windham coming up through the stage.
In a stalker costume with a mustache and camouflage. That would have been perfect.
Don't make me laugh, you prick, my throat. The issue apparently that they have with Motorhead sometimes is when they're playing live, Lemmy just keeps trying to go faster and faster and faster.
Yeah,
and
he's
I
got
think you can
places to
notice
be.
it. Yeah, I think you can find you can see that a little bit in this performance because he's playing faster and faster. Phil Campbell's going faster and faster as well on guitar, and he then can't fit the lyrics in to the pieces of music they're supposed to coincide with because he's playing it faster than he should be.
To be fair, even who played it at normal speed, he didn't remember the lyrics. He was literally winging it and making it up. It's brilliant.
I'm pretty certain it's this entrance as well, not the WrestleMania 17 one. I think it's this one that Bruce Pritchard tells a fantastic story about on his podcast. He says that literally 2 or 3 minutes before they're due to have the match, the video packages are running and all this sort of stuff. Batista's ready at the curtain. They've got Triple H over to where he needs to be. They've set Motorhead up. And Lemmy apparently just turns around and goes, "Where's my bass?" No one knows where his bass guitar is. He lent it against the wall to go and get a drink or do something. Came back and his bass guitar wasn't there anymore. Somebody had apparently took it to the stage for him, but they apparently Bruce Pritchard, Pat Patterson, and so on were running around backstage like lunatics looking for Lemmy's bass guitar.
I bet their asses dropped.
Could you imagine if he just stood there with no bass? Like, I don't,
I mean, Jarrett could have lent him an acoustic one.
Yeah, this is true. He could have joined in.
In the background, spend my money working hard.
There we go. Right, the match starts how you'd expect, I suppose, with two massive, proper heavyweight wrestlers facing off in the main event of WrestleMania. This is a Vince McMahon product all over here. Yes, it's two huge guys tying up, pushing against each other, trying to display who's the strongest, who's the most powerful, and so on. They trade a few shoulder blocks and knockdowns, and the crowd pop when Batista sends him Triple H to the floor. And I mean, it is just a display of power to start, Magsy, isn't it?
It is. Very slow, very methodical, very deliberate. It had all the hallmarks of this being a 20-minute classic match. It started off really slowly. One thing that kind of threw me off was the fact that Triple H looked shocked when he was overpowered by Batista, but that was the whole point of Batista. That was the whole reason why he was in Evolution in the first place. So that always kind of...
Magsy freezing a little bit there.
Apologies.
You're back. I can hear you. And no, he's gone. Okay, no worries. Yeah, the display of power by the pair, it is stereotypical of this kind of match, I suppose. The size of them, and Magsy's saying there as well that Triple H it was odd him acting surprised when he's overpowered. To me, it's not just a case of the fact that he was Evolution's animal and he's this massive, huge, muscular guy, and his whole game was based upon power. You just look at the two as well. Batista was over 300 pounds. Triple H was what, 260? Something like that, or it's what they were billed as anyway. And the frame of, Triple H is a monster, massive man. But just looking at the two, you'd think Batista would be the most powerful. Surely that would make sense. But anyway, Triple H takes control relatively early on, as you'd imagine, and the match does sort of follow a format that you would expect with regards to this, I suppose. Triple H is in control for a great deal of it. We get Batista attempting comebacks that are cut short quite often throughout the match. And Magsy's back.
And I ain't that as terrible as ever.
No, I can hear you crystal clear, my friend, and I'm glad you're back. I was just saying to the CWF that Triple H takes control pretty early on after this power exchange. And it is,
makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
And it is, as you said, very slow and methodical. And when I first watched this, I watched it live when it was first aired. I can remember being disappointed with this match. I can remember thinking it fell flat for me. But at the same time, on this card, you had Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle two of my all-time favorites, and it's one of my all-time favorite matches. So I think nothing was really going to live up to what I'd seen earlier in the night, and it would have been 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever, you know.
So watching the Hook card as a whole, you're emotionally drained from the matches beforehand, but watching this on its own, you don't have that. You're going into this fresh, and I think this as a match on its own absolutely makes sense the way it's paced, especially in the beginning. I think it's a really well paced match. You've got to remember you're playing to the strengths of Batista, who is still very green. Yeah, he looks the part, but he's still quite new in his wrestling career. So Triple H has to essentially ring general for him. It makes sense that they start slow and kind of build to a crescendo.
Yeah, I remember at the time. Is my internet coming through? Okay, I think so. Yeah, the signal's going. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I remember at the time reading probably in like Power Slam magazine or something like that, or people reviewing this, that it went too long. And that's something that Triple H would have wanted to have done, but it doesn't suit Dave Batista when you want to come in, not necessarily Goldberg-esque, smash them in 90 seconds, but Batista's there to run through people. That would have played to his strengths. Mm-hmm. So this match, in theory, went too long, and that's what took away from it at the time. And that really, really sticks out in my mind, because it's one of the first times I remember as a fan really considering how important the length of a match was, and that's why it sticks in my mind about this match.
Okay, I mean, I can understand that mindset, but for me, I think I've got to disagree with that. I think first of all, you're looking at the main event of WrestleMania.
Yes,
this has to be the match that everybody's talking about afterwards. Yeah, you'll get people on the card beforehand wanting to steal the show, as it were, but this is the marquee match. So to have a 5-10 minute headline, it's a damp squib. Then you've got to put into mind the build up to this was about Triple H being the man, being the guy. He had Ric Flair by his side, essentially passing on that baton of being the dirtiest player in the game. And it's also, love him or hate him, and especially this kind of Triple H reign of terror, you can't just run over Triple H in 5 minutes.
No.
He's essentially the guy. So Batista has to come into this like it's a final boss. So I think a very quick match weakens Triple H, and it kind of robs Batista of becoming that guy. I think Batista taking the best of Triple H and still coming out on top, I think that made Batista look stronger, if that's at all possible. The fact that Triple H was at his very best and Batista was still able to beat him, rather than Batista coming in, running roughshod, Triple H getting very little in terms of offensive, and Batista winning. I think squashing Triple H like that would have not done Batista as much justice as going through a 20-minute brawl with Trips did. So I understand the rhetoric behind people thinking it should have been shorter, but I don't agree. I think maybe shave a couple of minutes off, but having it to a 5-10 minute squash, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I also reckon that with the way this was structured, Batista, literally not just in the storyline, which is what made this match for me, but the match itself, bell to bell, he had a lot to overcome. We had the interference from Flair that we're going to discuss in a moment, no doubt, and the belt shots and the chair and the steps and lots of stuff went on in the match that he had to overcome to finally get the deal done, so to speak. So I think that works quite well as well. Sort of fighting from underneath, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
As we were saying before, we had a few internet issues and sort of went off into the weeds a little bit. Triple H is in control of the match. Flair spends a lot of time choking Batista whenever the referee's back is turned. Very old school heel manager tactics, but hey, it works.
It's
so
fair.
Exactly. Batista gets drove into the barrier on the outside and the ring apron quite a few times here, and those shots to his back looked vicious, and that then leads us to what Triple H it's almost like what his game plan is, Max, isn't it? He starts working the back, doesn't he?
Yeah, the biggest muscles on Batista. If you can kind of hinder the power moves of Batista, you take away his greatest weapon. So it absolutely makes sense. And he is the cerebral assassin after all. So it's absolutely in his wheelhouse to focus on a body part and kind of injure his opponent and like hinder the match. So yeah, makes sense.
It does indeed. Batista does sort of try and mount a fight back, might mount a comeback at one stage, literally just based upon throwing right hands. But when you're a guy that size, that works.
It's like throwing a sledgehammer.
Exactly. But he's cut off quite quickly with a spine buster from Triple H. We go back outside again, and Triple H is setting up the ring steps for. I think he's teeing up a pedigree, Max, isn't he? I think that's what he's going for.
Yeah, he takes the top two steps off. Usually, they're the two that will be smashed into the head of the opponent, but he's moving the steps into a pretty specific position because he's got to give enough room for the spot that's coming up.
Yes, and that's a counter by Batista to slingshot Triple H into the ring post. So then we get Triple H paying homage to Flair, his idol, by pissing blood everywhere. So that was quite graphic.
Props to Triple H. I rewatched this part 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't find the blade job.
Okay.
It's really well done. I mean, with Flair, he literally comes up to the camera and just scratch. But with Triple H, obviously, he's going for the pedigree. Batista powers out of it, gets the double leg takedown. And then Triple H is essentially led on this base of the stairs. He's then slingshotted into the post. Now Triple H's hand stops Triple H's head from hitting the post, so we know it's not a hardware bleed. But there has to be a point where he's done the blade job, but I couldn't make it out. Now I assume it's the blade was in the wrist tape, because that's the only part that makes contact with his head, because he's bleeding instantly. As soon as he comes away from that ring post, he's walking around the ring very dazed, almost like he's out of it, concussed. And he's, like you said, he's pissing blood. He has got a crimson mask. So yeah, that's a well done blade job by Trips.
Yeah, very good. And we get some great visuals then, don't we? Triple H bleeding on the mat, blood pouring down his chest.
The best one,
punching and clotheslining.
Batista, before they get back in the ring, Batista slams Triple H's head into the stairs, and you just see pools of blood every time he makes impact with him. Yeah, it's a great visual. Triple H bleeds really well, and then when they're in the ring, Batista's literally punching him or forearming him in basically in the wound, and Ric Flair's trying to stop Batista doing it, and he's eyeballing Ric Flair whilst doing it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's very well done.
This is for you, Rick. Wallop.
Very well done indeed. We have a near fall from a power slam from Batista. And then we get the chair coming involved and a bit more shenanigans with ref bumps and stuff on the outside, Maxie, don't we? Talk us through this here.
Yeah, so we Triple H goes to use the chair. The ref takes it away from him, which is the setup for Ric Flair to attempt to hit Batista with the World Heavyweight title. He eats a brilliant spine buster. I mean, Batista drills Ric Flair into the ring, but that gives Triple H the opportunity to get the belt. He levers Batista with it, and this is where, if I hadn't already known what the match was, this is where you would expect the win to come, because it's perfectly set up. Yeah, it's a really well done spot. I think he gets a 2 count for that. Then we see Triple H try and take advantage, and he gets hit with a spine buster as well. Just destroys Triple H with it. Really well done spine buster. That's one thing about Batista. He hits a good spine buster.
Yes. He's then going for the Batista bomb, isn't he? That's the next thing he's setting up for. The referee is still, not looking in the right direction or still out somewhere. So that allows Triple H to hit a low blow to escape the Batista bomb. Excuse me. And Batista then powers out of a pedigree.
For the second time.
I was not too big a fan of this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes Batista look like a beast. I get your point. There's other ways to get out of a pedigree, but then we've seen those other ways.
Yeah.
This was pretty new. It makes Batista look like the animal that he's being portrayed as. It takes a while. It's very slow paced. I wouldn't. I would have done it a lot quicker than this, but it makes sense in the scheme of the Batista's this monster, and Triple H cannot hit him with the pedigree.
Indeed. It basically ends up with then was it another spine buster and then a Batista bomb?
I think it was. He's meant to go for kind of like almost an Alabama slam.
Right, yes.
Because he has Triple H on his
hanging down the back, yes.
But because Triple H is full of blood and he's all slipper, it's almost Triple H was almost being dropped, so he kind of turns it into a side slam kind of thing, which
it's almost like that Sheamus does. What was that called? The cross, the white cross, the iron cross, something like that.
The Celtic cross.
That's the one. It's almost like that kind of tucks him round and drops him. Yes.
Yeah, kind of like almost like a time bomb from Hiromu. But props to both guys for kind of like calling that on the fly. But eventually that does lead to Batista going for the Batista bomb. I love the little call back to the whole storyline with the thumbs down. That gets a massive pop from the fans. Big Batista bomb, and you could tell that this match had taken a lot of energy out of Batista, because normally he does the Batista bomb, rolls backwards, gets the pin. He didn't even have the energy to roll backwards. He just literally got onto Triple H for the pin and new world champion.
And the crowd go crazy, of course. So then, Magsy, out of 10 for this one, what are we thinking? And I suppose it's difficult, considering it's a 50-50 poll, to not throw some comparisons between the two potentially when you're scoring. But yeah, out of 10, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I liked the King of the Ring match more than I like this, but I suppose that's because I like those two wrestlers more than I like Triple H and Batista. This was all right. It wasn't offensive. I like the bleeding spot. I enjoyed Ric Flair being involved. But it doesn't stand out as one of the greatest WrestleMania main events of all time. So I think a 6.5, perhaps. Yeah, 6.5 seems fair.
You're kidding me. 6.5. Look what I've got there, mate. Again, we're completely in agreement.
Look at that. What a day.
Look at that, eh? 6.5 out of 10. I'm with you. I'll be honest, it's better than I remember it being. I thought, with my memories of this, I mean, I've watched WrestleMania 21 or parts of WrestleMania 21 loads because of the Shawn Angle match primarily. I've always just turned it off when we get to this point, because in my head, well, put it this way,
You're done.
Yeah. In my head, today, I thought I was going back and watching a match that was going to be a 4 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, something like that. I thought it was going to be all right, but not spectacular, a bit sluggish, a bit slow, etc. And Dan Griffin in the chat there. A CWF hive mind is a wonderful and/or terrifying.
And we never ever compare before the show as well.
Well, never. not scores. Other things we compare, but that's never mind. It's
that's in our own free time.
It is, and what we do is our business. Damn it! But yeah, I was expecting something a lot worse. I was expecting something a lot slower. I was expecting to be bored a great deal more. I was expecting it to be, we said slow and methodical, but that can be okay. I was expecting it to be slow and methodical, and then with a touch of boredom in it as well. I was almost expecting a Triple H ego trip booking his WrestleMania main event. It was not that. It was better than I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think watching it out of context from the pay-per-view, watching it on its own, did it some favors.
Yeah.
But I also think the fact that I watched it straight after I watched Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin didn't help it, because the pace of that match was so much more to my taste than this one. But yeah, 6.5 is the score from me as well, Mr. Mags.
Great minds think alike.
And idiots agree. So then, where are we thinking about going next week? Loads of ways we can link all over the bloody place. Magsy, where do you want to go?
Now, should we just keep a going on this train? Because this isn't the end of Batista versus Triple H. This carries on for quite a while. I think eventually it's Batista wins 3 pay-per-views in a row. But we're not going to Backlash because we've already spoke about it a little bit. There's a match on the undercard of this WrestleMania that it's kind of like the match that we watched earlier, the Austin versus Shawn Michaels one, where tag team champions are facing off against each other. So earlier on the card, there's Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, who were the current tag team champions. Now, we've watched a Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero match before on the show. I think it was was it the Halloween Havoc 97 one?
96.
96.
Oh, no, 97. You might be right. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. But this match on WrestleMania 21 is actually the start of Eddie's kind of heel turn. He starts getting more and more brooding, more and more paranoid, and it leads to eventually to SummerSlam 2005, where we get arguably the best wrestling storyline that there's ever been in the history of the world, a storyline that is still being referenced today in the year of our Lord 2023. We are going to Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio in a ladder match for the parental responsibilities of Dominic Mysterio. I'm your pappy.
Oh my word. Like, we could have so much fun with that stupid storyline, couldn't we? But the plus side of it is, it's not just a comical, daft storyline. Those two guys can really go, as we all know, of course. I'm stating the obvious. So
yeah. So that's where we're going. Folks.
When you started talking SummerSlam 2005, I thought you were going to pitch Hogan Michaels again.
I was very tempted because, again, on Backlash, we obviously spoke about the Hogan, Shawn Michaels teaming up. So that was something that we could have gone to. But
I watched that today, yeah.
It's what the Backlash match, obviously, for the pay-per-view. I do want to put forward that Michaels and Hogan match again, but once if it gets knocked back again, I'll be devastated. So
no, I want to watch it and talk about it as well because it's fantastic.
So you put it forward?
No, I'm not. I'm not. So Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, SummerSlam 2005 for the custody of a child. Oh my word!
Which is how all paternity tests should be done.
Exactly. That's the way it should be done. Magsy, I'm going to be honest with you. We've watched Royal Rumble 2005. I've watched Backlash 2005 today for Mags v Sai. We've watched the main event of WrestleMania 21 from 2005. We had the Raw segment the other week. It's been fun going back down this memory lane.
But 2005 can fuck off.
Pretty much. I'm all 2005 out, and I'm pretty much all WWE'd out as well at the moment. I'm not going to lie about that. So I was looking
to 1984, the AWA, Barry Windham and Sting versus some other guys who no one else watched.
Well, you can't say that nobody ever watched Sting.
And Magnum TA.
Do you dare talk badly about Magnum TA? Thank you very much. Sting wasn't in the AWA.
Oh man, that is so condescending. Well, technically, actually, Sting was never in the AWA.
No, I wanted to leave the WWE and that era, and I thought to myself, I want to see what is potentially going to be good wrestling, but I also want to try and find something that I've maybe not seen before, and maybe some people in the CWF haven't seen before. So when I think of good wrestling, I thought to myself, the best match that I've seen in many, many years, we've already covered on this show, Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels on the undercard of WrestleMania 21.
Which is
Kurt
2005.
Angle, sorry?
Which is 2005.
Yes, exactly, yes. But Kurt Angle, we've already covered it. We both gave it a 10, I think. And Kurt Angle, in my opinion, has probably had the best matches of these competitors' careers. Batista Angle was much better than most Batista matches. Triple H Angle was always good. Michaels Angle was obviously spectacular. And Angle Austin was always very good as well. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use Angle as the link then. He's on the undercard for the WrestleMania show. He's faced all 4 of these guys. Where can I go that's unique and I've maybe not seen? So my mind naturally heads towards TNA. So I just Googled best Kurt Angle matches in TNA. And there's a few that popped up that I know I've seen, we've spoke about before, and the CWF will know of as well. But there's one I'm fairly certain I've never seen that, and it rated very highly with people online. So I would like to go to TNA Turning Point 2009 and see Kurt Angle take on Desmond Wolfe, who ended up being Nigel McGuinness.
Well, I don't think he ended up being Nigel McGuinness.
Well, he was Nigel McGuinness, but yeah. So I thought I'm 99%
Mum
certain.
called him Desmond. I'm calling him Desmond.
Yeah, there we go. So there we go. That is my selection. A bit of TNA, stepping away from WWE, stepping away from 2005. Maybe not as far as I'd like to go, but I was intrigued. As soon as I saw this Desmond Wolfe, Kurt Angle contest, I was like, well, I've got to go with that. The whole pay-per-view is available for nothing on YouTube, so you're able to go and check
Props
that out.
to TNA for that.
Yes, so don't panic about having to pay for any subscriptions or find a stream somewhere or whatever. It's literally just type in Turning Point 2009 and it comes up on YouTube. I already checked that because I ain't paying for shit. I'm not gonna lie. So, but those are your options for next week. We have SummerSlam 2005, Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for custody of, I've forgotten the bugger's name now, Dominic. There we go. In a ladder match. Or we are going to TNA Turning Point 2009, Desmond Wolfe versus Kurt Angle. Going to be interesting, Mr. Mags. Going to be interesting.
It is. Either way, I mean, I don't think we can go wrong with a Kurt Angle match, and there's plenty of meat on the bone with Eddie versus Rey, so win-win.
Yeah,
either way. No 50-50s though, please, this week.
So we have a quick scan through the chat before we depart this evening, my friend.
Yes, let's. So, Cam says Malenko is intense at the moment on the Nitro watch along. Jericho just debuted as well. I'm super excited. Yeah, Jericho versus Malenko is a brilliant storyline and set of matches. Really well done.
With Nitro Nights magazine, when we get to the end of a calendar year, Danny and I do almost like end of year awards. We have a special bonus episode.
Look at you, the PWR.
This is it. But obviously, we're talking about wrestling that happened 28 plus years ago, whatever. So it's kind of irrelevant. But we're now up to September 1996. So a couple of months' time, we'll be doing our end of 96 look back and awards and so on. Dean Malenko is going to be right out there for me for my wrestler of the year. He is so good in 96.
He's superb. Absolutely superb. Dan Griffin says 2 ref bumps and 0 sense the WWE way. Exactly. It just didn't make sense whatsoever. And he says, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? If Mags or Sai don't have internet issues, is it really chain wrestling? Yeah. The biggest heel in chain wrestling history is Virgin Media.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan Griffin then says, did Sai just imitate the Walls sausage dog?
What did he used to say? He used to say walls.
Yeah.
When did I say walls? I'm confused now.
I think we caught the end of one of your coughs.
Oh, that would make sense. That would make sense. Yeah. Okay.
And Dan says the CWF hard man is a wonderful and/or terrifying thing. He also says, did Barry Windham wrestle in 2005? Probably. Still sporting a mustache and still being as terrible as ever.
I got outbid, Magsy, on eBay today for a 1990 WCW Barry Windham action figure.
How much did you get outbid?
Well, it ended whilst we were live, and I forgot that it was ending. And basically, somebody.
So you didn't put a snap on.
Sorry.
So you didn't do a snap.
What do you mean?
An eBay snap. You go to like a website, I think it's fatfingers.com, and you can basically set a price that you'll go up to, and it'll come in at the last second and try a snap for you.
Ah, I didn't know that. No, I'm gonna try and remember that for next time then. But no, I got outbid, mate, so I didn't get to spend my hard-earned £4.25.
Essentially, it's £4 odds saved.
Well, maybe. I want that 1990 WCW Barry Windham figure though. I want it.
Well, then go to the person who bought it and say, "Look, I will give you 5 of the Queen's pounds."
Yeah, I'll do that.
We'll both make on it. Dan Griffin says Angle versus Wolf from 2009, Prime TNA. I know where my vote is going, and where Dan's vote goes, usually the rest of the CWF follow. So perhaps you're going to win one for once.
I might win a poll. Bloody hell!
But he then doubles back and says a 50-50 would be nice. No, it won't. It would not be nice.
No.
And then he says Barry Windham retired in 2010. Weird. I thought he was dead. I think you've mistaken the word "thought" with "wish."
Whoa!
No, I mean, that was harsh. That was actually harsh.
Barry Windham was dead. We literally only a few weeks ago on the show were talking about his health issues, and I was very upset, if you remember, and he pulled through. So,
and I was very upset that he pulled through as well.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
No, I don't mind Barry Windham. I just enjoy winding you up more.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. On that note, then, Mr. Mags, where can people find you online to talk about wrestling and you won't respond, and chickens and you might?
Well, I definitely won't respond about wrestling. And the only time I go on Twitter is to check what the topic of the week is, and maybe whilst I'm there, like a few people's posts. But you can follow me on there if you want at PodfatherMags, or come over to TikTok where you'll see daily updates about the new loves of my life, my chickens. Literally every day I've done a video for the past 4 weeks. So yeah, if you want Mags content, it's over on TikTok. And
there we go.
And just for clarification, chicken posts do numbers on TikTok. I'm getting the most views I've ever got, and it's all because of chickens. So there we go.
Oh, there we go. We'll have to get your chickens to promote chain wrestling somehow. We'll get them little t-shirts or something.
You can't put a t-shirt on a chicken.
That right there is the takeaway from this week's show. Forget all the wrestling talk. Forget the music. You can't put a t-shirt on a chicken.
We're full of things like that. I mean, remember we did an episode, you can't go around naming strangers cocks.
This is very true.
Just like you can't put a t-shirt on a chicken.
There we go. That's a t-shirt coming night. That is, you can't put a t-shirt on a chicken. I'm going to make that this weekend. For anything I'm involved in, you need to go to the network that carries this show, SJP World Media. That's at SJP World Media on Facebook and Twitter, and all your podcast players, platforms, and providers. Loads of shows, loads of nostalgia, wrestling, modern day wrestling. We've got more stuff joining all the time. Literally this week, 3 more shows were confirmed to be coming to the network. Not right away. One's going to be in a few months, one's in a couple of weeks, one's going to be much sooner. And none of those are wrestling, believe it or not. They're covering all sorts of different things. And no, they don't involve me. Don't panic. You hear enough of me. But yes, SJP World Media for all of that great stuff. But you can follow this show, most importantly, on Facebook and Twitter. And there is an Instagram and there is a TikTok, but I've lost the logins and I'm going to have to do it all again because I'm shit at that sort of stuff. But Twitter and Facebook, go for it. That's at @chain_wrestling. At @chain_wrestling. My throat is packing in. My voice is giving up. So, Magsy, I am off now to go and find some more Barry Windham matches to watch because you're all bastards.
And for the podcast listeners, Sar fucked up the intro.